Those that got courtesy tones and noise on them before we start. Good evening, everybody. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. I, along with Scott, W2BLT, and Roger. 304QMM, all in the logging room, Zoom room here with us tonight. We'll be bringing you East Coast Reflector TechNet number 617 on this April 15th of 2025. Big question for tonight. Do you use external speakers on your radios? As most of us know, those little dinky tiny speakers that are in the radios just don't reproduce the sound very nice, and it's so much better to put an external speaker on. I think I've run an external speaker on my on my radio since day one, since the since the radios came out. Back in my day, we had to take old commercial stuff if we wanted to get on 2 meters. They always had an external speaker, of course, so I've always run external speakers. That's our question tonight. You use external speakers on your radios. As always, we'll start out with our team members and see if any of those have any reports that they would like to discuss. We do not have any silent keys today from our database, which is a good thing. We don't see Joe tonight for the Celebrity of the Week, so maybe he took the week off. And we'll go to new users that are new to this set, that have never checked in. Let them come in and get up at the top of the list. That's been our protocol for the last bunch of years. And then we'll get to the meat and potatoes of the net, stations with amateur radio related questions. We'll go through the questions. And we'll send it up to Kevin, VE3BZ, if I can remember tonight. I think it was in a row that I forgot you, Kevin. Sorry about that. I know one week you didn't have anything and I mentally crossed you off. Anyway, that's our lineup. So, a couple of announcements. Well, let me see if see what announcements might come in from team members. Any of the team members have anything that they would like to report tonight? Once again, this is Dick, WB2JPQ. Nothing. I just have a couple things. Tomorrow night, I believe it's the 4th week of our open mic night. Come join us at 8 o'clock in here. Having a lot of fun. New net controllers. So that's at 8 o'clock. It was one of the things that all of our questionnaires, surveys that we have taken, people wanted an evening net, so we have delivered. So now it's up to you guys and gals to support it. So that's tomorrow night, open mic at 8 o'clock on the East Coast Reflector. Thursday night is Ask an Elmer, Be an Elmer in our Zoom room. That is not on the East Coast Reflector. That's in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room. I get quite a number of emails throughout the month on that, and that is not on the East Coast Reflector. We get way too in-depth to, on the radio. So that's in the East Coast Reflector Zoom room at 8 o'clock East Coast time. And we're in the process of getting our Western New York meet and greet letters sent out to everybody. For those of you that don't know when it is, it's June 21st. The Western New York meet and greet is June 21st in Chestnut Ridge Park, south of Buffalo. We are going to get some flyers and notifications out here in the next couple of days. We've been a little bit busy and they haven't gone out as early as what we would have liked. So that's June 21st, but there'll be more to follow on that. So I guess I got to go all the way down to new users. New users to this net. If you've never checked into this net before, please give us your call sign twice, Vicky K8BKY is on the log as always tonight. I guess I didn't mention her up a little bit earlier, so call signs twice if you're new to this net.
November 2, Quebec Lima Sierra, N2QLS.
U2RF, Whiskey 2, radio frequency.
Echo 2, Foxtrot Hotel Juliet, Kilo Echo 2, Foxtrot Hotel Juliet.
Kilo Foxtrot 0, Romeo Kilo Foxtrot, KF0 RKF.
Well, let me grab it. There's a pretty good start. Got KF0 RKF, Gary, Colorado. We got Christopher, Islip, New York, KE2FHJ. And Jerry from Lancaster, N2QLS. And right after Jerry, there was a ULF, the suffix ULF or something like that. If we could get your call sign twice, please.
It's K8IUS, Kilo 8, India Uniform Sierra.
RF, Whiskey 2, radio frequency. Roger, we got you in Canton, Michigan, K8IUS, what a difference the prefix makes. And John, we got you, WW2RF, and you coming up red on our screen, indicating that you have checked in to this net before, so we'll have to ask you to go to the second call district, which is about halfway down through our list tonight, but thank you for being there. Let me go up to Jerry, N2QLS, Lancaster, New York. Good evening, Jerry. And I think I know the answer to the question from you tonight, but let's see what you say. Do you use external speakers on your radios? Good evening.
Good evening, Dick, and everybody on that. No, I got the built-in one. And, got the radio. It's an ICOM 706. Just wondering how it sounds. Do I have to adjust the mic gain? My good stuff. Me being an old AMer. I got a Johnson Valiant. I cannot set the resting current on the modulator. I have a problem with that. I got full power on CW, but when I switched it, it just pegs the meter. So that's my issue tonight. Good to hear you in there, Dick. N2QLS.
Question. The audio could come up a little bit. That's unusual for the 706 because usually you run the mic gain down to about 1 on the 706. If you use 706 on sideband, a lot higher, and you usually need to run it down. But could come up just a little bit, Jerry. And was that a question for the TechNet portion tonight, or was that just you telling what you've been working on?
Well, it's been what I've been working on, but it's a question for the TechNet tonight. Yeah, I'm at I just reset the radio, so mic gain is at 5, so I should bring up something to 7 or something.
Jerry, depending upon the mic you're using, but usually on a 706 on FM they run about 1 division. Sometimes they're all the way, literally all the way down. You're not bad, you're just down a little bit. Maybe you're not quite talking into it. Well, let me put you in queue here. When we get the stations with questions, we'll will come and you can ask that question again. We'll see if we can find an answer. Let me move on to Roger in Canton, Michigan. K8IUS. Good evening, Roger, and welcome to the East Coast Reflector TechNet. And care to answer our question tonight?
Good evening, this is Roger, and I have an IC7300 IC transceiver for HF, and I also bought the external speaker, but I disconnected it and found that the audio was just as good without the external speaker, so I sold it. K8IUS.
That's unusual, Roger. Usually the internal speakers in the radio are nothing like an external speaker, so thanks for being here tonight. Christopher, KE2FHJ, Islip, New York. Good evening to you.
2FHJ, no, I only have a handheld transceiver, so no external speaker on mine.
Oh, I'm sure that'll probably come, Christopher, as time goes on. Gary, Littleton, Colorado, KF0RKF.
Good evening, and thanks for the welcome. I currently also just have a handheld on VHF and UHF, so I rely on the speaker mic. I have a ICOM 718 that I do listen on headphones when I'm on HF. But yeah, I got a little Yaesu FT60. It does pretty good, and I can hear it pretty good. So, great question tonight. Thank you. KF0RKF.
Those F60s do have some nice audio. Been around for a while. They do sound good. Let's take some new stations that have never checked into this net before. Like I said earlier, we like to get as many as we can new users to this net up at the top of the list. So if you've never checked into this net before, your call sign twice and slowly. Once again, this is Dick, WB2JPQ. Golf 6 Sierra X-Ray Alpha Golf 6 Sierra X-Ray, Dave in Portland, Oregon. Good evening, Dave, AG6SX. Unfortunately, you're coming up red as well. You have been in to this net here before, unfortunately. So 6s are way down the list. By the way, we're starting with after the questions, after the amateur radio related questions, we're starting with the 8th call district, or if you have an 8 in your call sign, 89012, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 is last tonight. So thanks for being here, Dave, but we'll ask you to come in with the 6s. Last call for stations that are new to this net. If you've never checked in here before, call signs twice.
Kilo Juliet 5, Kilo Whiskey Kilo. Juliet 5, Kilo Whiskey Kilo. This is Jake in Pearland, Texas.
Good evening, Jake, and you definitely are new, KJ5KWK. Good evening to you, and welcome to the East Coast Reflector TechNet number 617. I don't know if I said that, but the net's coming up on 12 years here in another month or so. Jake, do you use external speakers on your radios?
I do not currently. I am just running. I'm new to the hobby, so I'm just running an HT currently, but I do plan on getting a mobile unit for my truck, and I'm probably going to grab the external speaker for it. because of how I plan on mounting it.
Yeah, there's nothing like an external speaker, especially mobile. You will see a world of difference, Jake. Thanks for being here. We got Jake all cued in as your nickname here on your as your given name for the East Coast Reflector here tonight. Last call. Stations that are new, net, that have never checked into this net.
Kilo Foxtrot 8 Delta Mike Lima. Kilo Foxtrot 8 Delta Mike Lima. Kilo Foxtrot 0 Romeo Sierra 0 RPS.
It's you, Rick, KF0 RPS, and Jeff, Granville, Michigan, KF8 DML. And we missed one coming out of WA5APX. The station out of APX, your complete call sign choice.
KJ5 JX Kilo Juliet 5 Juliet X-ray Christopher Second.
Okay, J5, JX, we got you. Was that all the JXC? I guess it is. Okay, JXC. Anyone else new to this system? Or new to this tech, not new to the system, I should say.
November 7, Sierra Hotel, and Richmond.
Daniel, November 7 SH, you've come up red as well, so you have been in here before. Ask you to come in with the 7s, which are at the bottom of the pack tonight. 7s were first last week. Anyone else? We're hearing nothing. Let's go up to Jeff, Granville, Michigan, KF8 DML. Good evening to you, Jeff, and our question tonight, as you've probably heard, do you use external speakers on your radios?
KF8 DML. Good evening to everyone on the net. No, I do not use external speakers yet. I am fairly new to the hobby still. I'm only about 2 months in. So no sir, no external speakers yet. Back to net.
No for you. Boy, you got great audio. You sound great, Jeff. Thanks for being there. Moving on to Rick, KF0 RPS. Good evening, Rick.
KF0 RPS. Good evening. I think I may have been on the net some other time. I'm not quite certain. But in regards to the question, I do not use an external speaker, at least not yet. I thought about it though. KF0 RPS.
All right, Rick, we got you down for a no. Kind of noisy, but Vicky pulled you out to get a no out of there. Last on this list is Christopher, KJ5JXV. I'm relatively new to the hobby myself. So I really don't use any external speakers on my base station or my mobile. Back to net control. No, for you, Christopher. Thank you for being there. Let's go to, as I like to call them, meat and potatoes. Stations with amateur radio-related questions. I've already got Jerry in 2QOS who has a question, but let me get a little list started. If you have a question for tonight's net, please give me your call sign twice. Echo 4, Mike, Sierra, Mike, KE4, MSM. CWI, Kilo Delta 6, Charlie, Whiskey, India. Good afternoon, good evening.
Whiskey 5, Delta Lima Sierra, Whiskey 5, Delta Lima Sierra.
Nice start. Good evening at W5DLS, KD6CWI, and KE4MSC. I'll be with you three gentlemen in just a minute. Let me go back up to Jerry, N2QLS from Lancaster, New York. Jerry, why don't you rephrase your question and ask it again, and I'll pay closer attention, and maybe we can find you an answer, or somebody that's maybe had the problem over the years. So Jerry, once again, if you'd ask us the question, N2QLS.
Thank you, Dick. Shout a little louder in the mic. I'll get it fixed by tomorrow morning. My question is, setting resting current for AM modulation, Johnson Valiant 2. I'm having problems. It just pegging. And it's an old AM rig. And as far as the other question you had, what kind of external speakers, only on my R390A, use an external speaker, but setting the resting current seems to be an issue I have on this Valiant. I did a lot of audio mods to it, probably screwed something up, so I'm a bit of a cobbler, you could say, and I see some kind of method to address this high current situation. So with that, I'll turn it back to net. Next decade into QOS.
Well, there you go. Jerry's looking for help setting the resting current on his Valiant V2. Anybody play with AM? Jerry's been a big AM boy. I remember you were fooling around there with Julius back a few years back. I know you're big on AM. Anybody help Jerry out setting the resting current on his V2? Well, it doesn't sound like it, Jerry, but as I always say to people, you never know. By the time the net's over, somebody might have an answer for you or pop in here, so stay tuned. And, then he probably AM is, Jerry. Ancient modulation, right? Let's go to Winter Springs, Florida, and see what's going on there. What can we do for KE4MSM? Good evening. And can answer our question if you like. Do you use external speakers on your radios? And we'll trade you one for one. We'll take a question from you. Call KE4MSM. First name is Wolf. Whiskey Oscar Juliet. Yeah, to answer the question, yes, I just recently got an external speaker for this humble little setup I have here. I got myself an old, realistic speaker I picked up at a ham fest, and saying earlier that it makes a world of a difference, and it sure does, considering, the little HT rig I'm using right now for 70 centimeters and the 10 radio I have up there. It does make a big difference, so yes, I do use an external speaker. And the question I have is regarding the 6-meter band, which currently I have no experience in, but I have an opportunity to buy a 6-meter radio, but it has an FM only radio, no single sideband. The question I have, you hear everybody sees the magic band when it opens up and blows wide open and all that. Is it primarily single sideband or FM as well? You're kind of noisy into the repeater, but I understand you got a chance. Looks like you got a chance to buy a 6-meter FM only radio, and you're wondering if there's 6-meter FM activity along with sideband. Well, I can answer there's both, and I'm sure you're coming in from Orlando, Florida. I'm sure there's got a bunch of, I don't know about a bunch. I'm sure there's got to be some 6-meter FM repeaters in the Orlando area. There's like 5 of everything the last time I was in Orlando. But yes and yes to your question. I don't know if you want to elaborate a little more than that, but I do think you'll find some 6-meter FM repeaters in your area. Kind of like thinking about when a band opens up, the propagation. It's just as good on the FM as it is on single sideband. Well, yeah, we can put it out to the group, but yes, it is. Problem is, get on, 52525, the national calling frequency. You can absolutely have a ball. But anybody want to make a couple of comments in regards to 6 meters FM versus sideband, or? 6 UFM. Hi, Joe.
Yeah, thank you, Dick. Woj, 6 meters is probably one of my favorite bands. As Dick said, yes, there is FM DX that goes on. Just get on the calling frequency and you'll be able to probably make a few contacts. One thing that I wanted to remind you about is on FM, most of the time you'll find the polarization is going to be vertical, whereas on sideband and CW and the various digital modes, FT4 and 8, most of the time the polarization is going to be horizontal. Also keep in mind that most of the newer HF radios are actually HF plus 6 meters. So, if you upgrade to that, upgrade your license if need be and get a radio like that, you'll have 6 meters there. But just keep in mind that for FM DX work, you're going to need some kind of a decent vertically polarized antenna. Working it off of an Omni is not going to work too well. So you might want to think about getting a vertically polarized Yagi or something of that nature. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM.
Yeah, good point, Charles, the old antenna, vertical and horizontal. Well, there's a suggestion for you, so let us know how you make out. Come back next week or the next week and following, and let us know if you bought the radio, and let us know what you found on 6 meters in Central Florida. Ruben, KD6CWI, good evening.
Good
evening, Dick. Good evening, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Question is about microphones, and the question is, if you purchase like a Heil R40 and just use it directly to the radio, is that okay already, or do you need an equalizer to input it first and then channel it to the radio? So that was the question. Can you put it directly? Would that be enough, or you still need an equalizer to make it work better? I'll bring it back to you, Dick.
You don't need an equalizer on any radio, Ruben, but if you really want to fine-tune it, you will. But I don't know the impedance. I don't know. I'm not familiar with. You said the DR40 sounds expensive to me. I'm not. I don't know if that would match up impedance-wise with the radio that you're using or not. Have you researched that? Is it? Will that radio work on there without anything extra?
It's a PR, Papa Romeo 40. Yes, I think you can put it directly, and I'm just wondering if the audio quality is going to be a lot more better than the standard microphone, and the radio will be the FTDX10. And I reached out to Heil, and they said it'll work, but I've seen a lot of stations setting up their microphone to an equalizer. So that's the only reason I asked that question. I'll bring it back to you, Dick.
Well, we can put it out. It certainly will work. Oh, PR, yeah, I'm familiar with that. That's an expensive microphone, but no doubt it will work better than your stock mic. Although you don't know. I've got a Heil here, and I've switched it around on several radios, and sometimes the stock mics work pretty doggone good. But always with an equalizer, you can adjust your highs, lows, and mid-range. And Jerry can tell you, QLS from the AM days, and even sideband days, we used to spend a week trying to set up audio back in the day when people cared about their radio. Seems lately plug it in and make it work and move on. But let's put it out to the group. Anybody got any suggestions for Ruben about an equalizer with a PR40 microphone? 3GGM, Whiskey Baker 3 Golf Tango Mike. Well, good evening, Mike. How are you? Go ahead.
Good evening, Dick. Good evening, everybody on the net. On a CX10, do not put an external equalizer. You do not need it. It's a waste of money. The CX10 has a perfectly good multiple stage equalizer built right into it. You have setups for adjusting the equalizer with processing turned on, and you have multiple that you can adjust with the processor turned off. You can use either condenser or dynamic microphones. Any high-end microphones. The X10 even sounds good with a stock microphone. If you listen to some of the guys on 160 meters talking that run the extended audio and so on down there, they're very giant audio fanatics. A lot of those guys will say throw the Heil microphones away and get a Electro Voice RE27. And on the AG radios, those things, especially if you put your radio in 4K mode, the AG will do that. Sounds awesome, sounds fantastic. Anyhow, just a comment. This is WB3GTM.
thank you. We send it over to Jerry, and our fact checkers in the logging room tonight said it says right in the instructions, no need for an external equalizer. Jerry, this is right down your line. Go ahead, sir.
Did we lose control or is it just me?
Go ahead, Jerry, and 2QLS.
Alright, well, you might try a symmetric 5-2 Charlie audio processor. It does everything. Tone, compression, limiting. It'll do it all. So, look up symmetric 528C.
All right, thank you, Jerry. Well, there you go, Ruben. I guess that's the best we can do here tonight. Go ahead.
Dick, and I value the opinion or the advice of a lot of stations. I think they're all valid, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening, and stay safe, stay healthy, enjoy life, and God bless. 73 KD6 CWI.
Hey, let us know how you make up. Spring, Texas, W5DLS. Good evening, Darren.
Good evening, Dick, and my question is actually simple compared to everybody else's. I do use an external speaker, and I was actually going to get a new radio and a new external speaker, and I was wondering what the best value for the money out there is. I don't want to buy a dozen external speakers trying to figure out which one I like the best, so I was wondering if anybody had any suggestions for a great speaker at a great price.
Base station or mobile, make a difference. The mobile, you got to have a, a mounting bracket and so forth. But certainly the base station, for HF rigs and so forth, they make, nice matching speakers, which is about half the cost of a radio in many cases. Which are you looking at there? For an HF rig, 2-meter VHF or mobile? What's your option?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't make that clear. I'm looking for a external speaker for a mobile radio, UHF, VHF.
Well, it's actually a great question. Let's put that out and see. I've used Motorola mobile for longer than I can want to remember. There's a lot of good manufacturers out there. I just don't know what is out there anymore, but that's a good question to put out for the group. Anybody up there and out on a good mobile speaker for UHF, VHF radio? ORK Mobile. Jerry, KQ4OR. Everybody on the net, thanks for picking me up. A couple of months ago, I'm working in an ID5100. My internal speaker started going intermittent, and last minute I was getting ready to leave for a trip, so I at Walmart, believe it or not, and they had a little CB speaker. I think it was about $20. I've been using it for 3 months and it sounds great. Just thought I'd throw that out there. I know it's not pro equipment or anything, but for $20 in a mobile, works pretty good. Comes with a mounting bracket and everything else. Thanks for picking me up, KQ4 ORK Mobile. Anybody else got a suggestion on an external speaker for a mobile radio?
N0 MSS? N0.
Hey, Mr. Ross from Wappington, North Dakota.
Good evening, Dick, and everybody on the net. I've been in the communications business for 34 years now. And pretty much any 4-inch communication speaker is going to sound way better than that 1 or 2-inch speaker inside your radio. So like the other guy said, whether it's Walmart, Radio Shack, MFJ, Motorola, Kenwood, I've got old Johnson, EF Johnson business band speakers that are still sounding way better. So just find something that's about a 4-inch speaker and that has a bracket to hang under your dash. I think you'll be happy. And 0 MSS.
Well, I'll ditto that, Ross. About anything sounds better than the internal speakers that come in these mobile radios. Well, there you go. Who has it? Darren, there you go. Find one that you like, and I'd say run with it.
All right, Dick, thank you very much. It's W5DLS. We headed back to the net. Thanks, everybody, for their participation. And I agree with you. External speakers are far better than the ones that come in the radio brand. So I may look into that.
Well, especially for a mobile environment. You know, some of the speakers mounted on the top of the radios. If they're mounted up under, if they're mounted up under the dash, well, that's the way they used to be mounted. It's pretty hard to mount up under the dash today, but they're usually not pointing, penetrating, looking at you, or you can take an external speaker and find a spot to mount it and have it where it's at least looking at you, and it certainly makes things sound better. Thanks for the question. Anybody else tonight? Stations with a question, please. Call sign. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Late off Indian WE7 CGI Mike in Wikiwachi, Florida.
10-8-0-AY, November 8, Oscar Alpha Yankee, Dave in Huntsville, Alabama. I do have a question.
Design EBB Ocala. I got W9EDD, N8OAY, and Mike from Wikiwachi, Florida. I haven't heard from you for a long time, Mike. KE7CGI. And we missed the station, and there's somebody with Mike. The station we missed, please, call sign twice.
K8IUS, Kilo 8, India Uniform Sierra.
Whiskey 9, Echo Bravo Bravo. My pleasure to repeat it again for you, sir. Would be Whiskey 9, Echo Bravo Bravo, Ocala, Florida. First name is Don here, sir. Speaker on your radios. Was my transmission not clear? I'm sorry, sir. I'm looking for Mike, KE7CGI, Wikiwachi. What is your question, Mike?
Yeah, Dick, good to talk to you. Yeah, it's been a while since the yeah, this is Whiskey Echo 7 Charlie Golf India Mike in Wikiwachi. So,
engineer and a techie guy, I always hear the word a compressor or a compressor element. And I've heard it recently in my public safety job. We have a Harris 800 megahertz system, and I hear the term in ham. What is a compressor, and what is the function of it, and what does it do?
Well, good to talk to you, Mike. Yeah, it's been a long, long time, man. You were the gentleman. You were the gentleman who had the IRLP note at one time, correct?
Negative, but I used to live down in Spring Hill on the south end of the county, but I would hit your buddy over there in Shady Hills. I used to hit and then since I've moved up here, now I go out of the gentleman up in Homosassa. But yeah, no, we've been talking for a while.
Right, that was Dennis, W4DG, yes. Right. Man, that's 20 years ago. That's a long time, Mike. I don't know whatever happened to Dennis. I've kind of lost track of him over the last 7, 8, 9 years. Let's see if we can find you the answer. Mike's inquiring about compression, which is normally used on HF. Put it out to the group and see who would like to take a stab at an answer for Mike. Jerry, you're the number one man tonight. Go ahead.
Alright, well, when your volume gets high, it will squash it down. If you speak very low, it'll bring it up somewhat. It's kind of a protection device, so you don't over.
Do a little more punch to your audio, maybe sum it up. Thanks, Jerry. Anybody else like to make a comment? W2KJV. Good evening, Tony. Go ahead.
Dick, everyone on the TechNet tonight. I know what a compressor does in music. It brings up low audio, certain level, and it compresses high audio down to a certain level. In other words, it doesn't over deviate and it doesn't under deviate. It kind of brings everything to the same level. That's in music. Now, I'm not sure about HF, but I'm thinking it might be a similar application there. I hope that helps. Not sure. W2KJV, back to you.
Pretty much the same. Like I said, mostly used on HF. You really don't want to run compression much on UHF, VHF. You don't have that natural sound that sometimes you'll hear it pumping, if you will. Some of the Motorola HTs, you can turn the compression on, and you will, as you take a breath, you will hear the background noise coming up and so forth. And it's not really listened to for what we do here on ham radio, but in commercial service, it has another story. So anyway, thanks, Mike, and great to talk to you again, man. Oh man, it's been a long, long time. So now Tony's got that repeater node there in Homosassa, so that's, I guess, close enough for you. So you got a gateway in here again, Mike. Go ahead.
In here, Dick. Always great to hear you. Yeah, from many years ago in my old house and going through that node down there in Shady Hills and your buddy. After I moved, he just went off the map. But I built a new house after I retired from the sheriff's office up here on the north end of the county, and can come in through here through the home assassin. Appreciate it. Always good to hear you. Good to talk to you. And we ride often, but we don't talk. But with that, we'll say clear. Whiskey Echo 7, Charlie Golf from you. Thanks for the input. It all helped, by the way.
Of course, Dennis still has an address there in Hudson. So who knows? I'll have to send him an email, and it's been a long time. He's from the Western New York area, as you probably know. We played repeaters together for many in the day, the 60s and 70s. Moving on to David in Huntsville, N8OAY. What can we do for you tonight, sir?
I've got some HD antennas that I'm thinking are not working really well. I'm wondering if when you check HD antennas with a SWR meter, do you connect the directly to the meter with a adapter, or is it better to use a 3 or 4 foot or whatever match cable to separate the antenna from the meter?
Refer that one to Charles or somebody, but you want to keep as close to practical use as you can. So they make these little SWR bridges, I don't know, that will screw right into an HT, but there again, they're about 4 inches long, and you're about 4 inches off what little ground plane you have on the HT. So I don't think there's much sense in even in doing much of a test there. Charles, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you, Dick. David, as Dick said, you're going to have as much meter there as you are antenna, and you're going to be quite some distance away from the tiny amount of ground plane that the HT body provides. So you're not going to get a good reading under the best conditions. But the other thing to keep in mind is almost all SWR bridges need at least 5 watts to actually do anything. So if you have a typical Baofeng rated at 5 watts, it's probably only putting out 3.5. So you might not be able to get a reading under any conditions. If you suspect the antenna, probably the easiest thing to do is going to be to replace it. But I am curious what makes you think that you have a problem with the antenna.
I have a diamond. It's one of the 15-inch long, mostly high gain antennas that I'm getting reports of a weak audio signal into a repeater with it. And I've got a cheap FJ antenna that I don't hear any complaints with. So I'm just wondering if maybe something's going wrong with the diamond antenna. Maybe it's a radio problem, I'm not sure. But I do have a 8-watt, I'll call it a cheap CCR radio that I can use to test with a little bit more than 5 watts. N8OAY.
Okay, David, yeah, it's hard to say what you have the problem with there, because keep though that the level of your audio has no connection to your SWR at all. You have 100-to-1 SWR and still sound very good, but you could also have a 1-to-1 SWR and still sound terrible. So there are 2 separate entities there. My recommendation would be, if the MFJ antenna is working, use that one. Maybe poke around on Amazon or eBay and find something else that you would like to try and pick up one of those and see how it does. The other thing you might try is putting on, goes by different names, tiger tail, stinger, something like that. It basically is just a length of wire connected to the chassis of the HT that hangs down. If you make that piece of wire about 17 to 19 inches long or longer, it's going to work for 2 meters and 440 and 220 and so forth. But that gives you a much better ground plane to work against than just the body of the radio. So look into those things, and maybe just pick you up a different antenna and see how that one does. So back over to you, Dick KC6 USM.
Thank you, Charles. Yeah, David, your audio is low. There's no question about that, and that's not, like Charles said, that's not antenna. And that's, you hear that quite a bit on here with some of the newly licensed hams. I heard it just, I think yesterday, somebody said to a station that your audio is very, very low. And he said, well, I just went up to high power. Does that make it any different? No. It's not going to change your audio one little bit. If your audio is low, the only way you can fix your audio is raise it in the radio. Now, if you got noise on your signal, that's another story. That's RF. You got a little bit of noise and low audio, so you got 2 strikes against you. Get a little bit better signal into the Huntsville repeater, and the signal-to-noise ratio will come up a little bit, but you're still going to have low audio. So thanks for the question. Let's go to Don in Ocala, Florida, W9EBB. Good evening, Don, and this is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Evening, everyone, and what a great topic that was, because, as a new ham, it's,
Well, we heard you're a new ham and a great topic, but then you died right out, Don.
how to secure it. I should check. Remember to take a picture of nothing happening. Thanks. Out there. Rate that. Well, I'm not sure what's going on.
Coming on the same repeater, W9EBB only. Don, are you still there?
You're present, sir. Can you hear me?
I'm not sure what's going on.
W9ED, nothing heard. I am going to the other side. Apparently something wrong.
All right, Don, you were noisy into your repeater. You want to try it again?
Can you read me now, sir?
Yes, I do. You started out very well, and then, I don't know, I didn't even think it was you.
Sir, I'm going to say, it was way too low for you guys. Great topics tonight, especially the antenna questions. 73GO.
right, John, I guess you didn't have a question. I'm sorry. Let's see. Who else had a question there? Was that Roger? Cade IUS. Roger, your question. This is Dick WBTJPQ.
Of course, I got it cranked up to 100 watts. Making my furnace turn on and won't shut off. I got to go downstairs to the basement and shut off the circuit breaker to reset it. And I put some ferrite chokes on the wires going into the furnace, but that didn't help. And I'm wondering if anybody's got any ideas for that. K8IUS.
Another station coming in with you there for a minute. What is kicking your furnace off? What radio or what is doing it? An HF, VHF, UHF, HF? What is?
Yeah, I'm using an ICOM IC7300 HF radio on 20 meters, and when I transmit on that, that's kicking the furnace on.
Sounds like it's coming in through his thermostat.
Maybe you got some common mode current coming back down your coax. Do you have any chokes on your coax? A lot of information we need to know here before you can answer that question. More info.
I forgot to tell everybody that I'm living in a condo with no outside antennas allowed. So my HF antenna is a quarter wave dipole for 20 meters. It's mounted to the ceiling of my upstairs bedroom. And I've got about maybe an 8 or 10 foot length of coax from the transceiver to the antenna. And I don't have any chokes on that.
Kind of surprised you don't set the microwave, the oven, the dryer, the shower, the dishwasher, and everything else off with that installation. But let me put it out to the group and see if you got some recommendations. Pretty tough when you got 7,300 and an antenna a few feet from you in your house. Anybody got a suggestion for Don? Or for Roger, rather?
KC6, you have him.
And W2AL. It sounds like it might be coming in through the thermostat. A lot of times that's through that. I even seen somebody, the old digital analog thermostat through that. Tough situation when you're running an indoor antenna. I have one, I know.
Okay, Alan, please wait to be recognized. Charles, go ahead, KC6 USM.
Thank you, Dick. Roger, as Dick said there, you got a problem that you're going to need to choke that antenna off. Either buy an RF common mode choke and put on there. You can take a few loops of coax. You said 20 meters. That shorter run, I'm assuming you're using either RG58 or RG8X. Which only take about 5 or 6 turns of that on a 4 to 6 inch diameter form, and secure that up somehow, zip ties or what have you. That'll help with that. Then get it choked off. The second thing is you're going to have a real hard time running anything much above QRP power in that situation. So, if you can make your contacts, keep cranking the power down until you're not able to make the contacts, and then crank it back up just a little bit. Get as much of that RF energy down as possible, and then go somewhere and buy like a shopping bag full of ferrite beads and put ferrite on everything. As Alan suggested there, the thermostats, I've seen that happen a lot. Put beads on the thermostat lines, put beads on everything you can put it on, and that may help. Going to have to qualify that because it may not help much. That is a very, very bad situation, and it's going to take some trial and error to get your system to operate, but I think you'll be able to get it going well enough that you'll be able to get on the air and have a little bit of fun, Roger. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM.
Thank you, Charles. Yeah, it's pretty tough, Roger. Good luck to you. Got a question tonight. Stations with an related question here tonight. Give us your call sign twice. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
KE2 DJQ. KE2 DJQ.
Well, that looks like Jim in Spencerport, New York. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, everybody out there in the net. Yeah, a question I got, and is I got one of these hand stick sets of antennas, and I thought I'd try presetting, the upper element that you can adjust. Thought I could maybe do that by using a VNA. So I was setting that up, and I'm looking at the readings there, and I'm looking at both the impedance magnitude and the complex, and I'm looking, I go, geez, I don't know if I'm better off having a magnitude of 50 ohms, but the real and imaginary part are both like 35 ohms, but the magnitude 50, or am I better off with a fully resistive 75 ohms? So that's the dilemma I'm kind of wondering. Why might be it really comes down to throwing a SWR meter on there, but I'm curious what people have to say about that. Back to you, Dick.
Well, I like your last comment the best. Old school, good old SWR bridge. What do we got? My experience with VNAs is laboratories, not in the field. Let's put out the Charles, see what he says. I think he said hamstick. I missed the key word here, but I think it was hamstick. Is that right, Jim?
Yes, that's correct. The bottom portion, I've got a set of like 4 or 5 of these, each for, the different bands. And the bottom portion has like a coiled, this black element, and then you've got this solid piece that you screw in the top that's adjustable to try to, get that set up right. Over, back to you.
Yeah, right. I ran a hamstick mobile, one of my first mobile antennas where I guess I went with an outbacker, and then I went with a fluid motion, but put it out to Charles. Charles, you got any suggestions for Jim?
Don't know if I've got it or not. Anyway, yes, Dick, Jim, hamstick is a choice. They're really, really good antennas and very very flexible in their application. But and to a point, I agree with Dick. Just put an SWR bridge on there and see what it's got. But the VNA does give you a whole lot more information, but sometimes more information is not a good thing, because you get into the situation that you're in. In the Air Force, they call that chasing the needle. So, sometimes you can get into that with the VNA because you got so much information. And, if the SWR is good, don't worry about it a whole lot. It's going to work well, and it's going to be fine. No problems with that. And, myself, I tend to use, when I'm building an antenna, one that I bought, I tend to use the VNA simply because it's handy. I don't have to have a transmitter out there. I don't have to have an SWR bridge. Just plug in the VNA and go. But I've been using them so long that I've gotten used to that overload of information. But if you've got an SWR bridge you can put on there, put it on, see what it looks like, and go with that. No problem. And as far as which is better, a 50 ohm load that has an imaginary portion or a 75 ohm pure resistance, and it's tough-up, 50-50. Whichever you like best is the one you should go with, Jim. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 USF.
Thank you, Charles. Jim, if that was any help to you, but are you getting bad SWR? Is that what prompted this?
No, actually, I got these antennas, and I just thought I'd preset them up outside, without having to drag my ICOM and everything out there also, because I wanted to get some hands-on time. You get something in the mail, you want to start trying away and try some stuff. So I'll have to get the whole rig out there and actually use the SWR, and maybe if I really got some time on my hands, I can do a little comparative study, get the graph paper out and compare this whether having an imaginary part is not a good thing, or go for the resistive, or vice versa. But bottom line, SWR. Thanks, guys. This is KE2 DJQ. Back to you.
Here we go. Okay, Jim. Well, I think what you're going to find is every little thing is going to affect it. The height above the ground, what you got around you, as you move around, they're very, very, very tough to say, okay, this is the magic length, and that's kind of what you got to do, is just get a length that works for you, and go with it. You'll knock yourself out trying to depth with it. I think you're going to find it. Every little thing changes it. And then, will you notice the difference? Probably not. Like I always say, put it up, have some fun with it. What else do we have? Stations with a question, amateur-related question. Call thanks twice. This is Dick, WB2JPQ.
Kilo 4, Mike, X-ray. Kilo 4, Mike, X-ray.
Victor Echo 3, Oscar, Uniform Alpha. Victor Echo 3, Oscar, Uniform Alpha.
Victor Echo 3, India, Quebec Uniform. V3I, QU.
Got 3 here in Q, V3I, V3OUA, and K4RMX was first. Good evening to you, Craig, K4RMX. What's your question for us tonight?
I was just doing some testing, and putting about 40 watts into some coax that I installed about 8 years ago, RG8X, going into a tram dual band antenna at a little over a mile away. I was getting very bad signal. So the tram antenna, that's a no-brainer. That needs to be replaced. But, you know, how long can coax typically last, and what's the easiest way to test it? Because my SWR isn't bad.
The easiest way to test is put a dummy load and measure what's going in and what's coming out with a watt meter at the far end. Put it out to Charles and let him give you his opinion. How long does it last? I got coax here that's 25 years old that I'm still using.
Total length at 50 feet. It was a pre-made RG8X with PL259 ends. Thinking and would like Charles's opinion on whether I should start going with what are those other connectors? Not PL259, but I think they're called N connectors. N as in Nancy.
On that. Go ahead, Charles.
Alrighty, thank you, Dick. KC6UFM. Yeah, Craig, golly, I was sitting here with my eyes bugged out because when you first transmitted, I thought you said that you had a mile of RG8X up there, but you only have 50 feet. Trying to think of a nice way to put this, Craig. I mean, I'm assuming that replacing the coax would be a real pain in the neck, but if it's not, I wouldn't worry about 50 foot of RG8X. I'd just buy new stuff. As Dick says, I have cable up here. I think the oldest piece I have is about 26 years old. Never given me any trouble at all, but you know, there's a couple of ways you can test it. You know, both involve a VNA and doing some TDR through the line. You can look for any impedance humps or anything like that, but if it's easy to replace, buy a new one, test it to make sure that it's not bad out of the box, and just replace it. And you said a tram dual band, so I'm assuming we're talking 2 meter, 70 centimeter. You know, there would be a little bit of a benefit to LMR 240 or even up to you know, full-size RG8X RG8 or to, you know, a higher quality cable than 8X. I'm not a fan of RG8X. You know, it's the same price as RG8, has just a ton or more loss rather, and it's just not my cup of tea. I'm big into the LMRs, but that's just me. You know, as far as going with an N connector is concerned, it's not a bad idea for anything over the 6 meter band, but it's definitely not required. You're going to have a little bit more loss in the connectors, but over a 50-foot run, it's not going to add up to that much. You'll probably never, Greg. But you know, as far as testing is concerned, you can short one end, put VNA on the other end, do a TDR through it, and see how it looks. You can put a watt meter at each end and compare input and output power levels. That'll give you an idea of you know, how it's performing. But otherwise, that's really about all you can do with it, Craig. Back over to you, Dick, KC6 UFM.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you for the question, Craig. Let's go to Rudy. E3OUA. Good evening, you, sir. And what's your question for us tonight?
See, Dick, I do not have a question, but I'm glad to hear you in Toronto on some linking station here. It's very nice, at least. I can hear you here too. That's great stuff. Anyway, thank you, Dick. I'm listening. And thank you very much for conducting, and that's so nice. This is B3 Oscar, Uniform Alpha. I'll be quiet.
Right. Thank you, Rudy. BE3IQU. Good evening, Reg. What's your question for us tonight?
And a very good evening, Dick, and to everyone around the net tonight from Toronto here. And the question I have is, of all of the types of televisions that there are today, what TVs offer the least amount of RF interference to a radio and let's say an antenna that's probably 20, 25 feet away, and a radio that's probably 16, 17 feet away? What would be the best TV type of TV to buy in this day and age under that circumstance, Dick? And I hope you're doing well. C3IQU.
We've asked this question a couple of times before that I can remember, Reg. Whatever one works. I don't think anybody can say one's better than the other. I know you've asked this question before, and we'll put it out to the group, but I don't think I think you're looking for an answer that you're not going to find. Anybody help Reg out? I know he's asked this several times before. You're going to find an answer, Reg. It's pretty tough. I have no problems here. I have umpteen monitors and TVs going here in my shack, and I don't have a problem with anything. But I'm sure there are some that are better than others, but I don't know how you'd ever find them.
Yeah, I hear you there, Dick, and unfortunately they won't let you bring them home, try them out, and take them back again. Anyhow, thanks for putting it out there, Dick. I appreciate it. Take care, my friend, and stay well. B3IQU.
KE4ZYQ.
The CYQ, did you have a question, sir?
This is Kilo Echo 4 Zulu Yankee Quebec, Joe in Clinton Township, Michigan. I was going to tell that fellow about the TVs. Samsung doesn't seem to be giving off too much stuff, interference, RFI. And just go to a TV place that has them on the rack and just kind of walk around with a meter and to see if they are putting off any kind of residual RFI. And that's one way of checking too. But I have not had any problems with solid state, flat screen, big screen Samsung. So just thought I'd throw that out. Back to that, KE4ZYQ.
Thanks, Joe. Well, I think that's about all the time we're going to have for questions tonight, everybody. I'm going to send it up to Kevin, V3BZ, and see what he has for our swap tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to Roger. So, Kevin, good evening. V3BZ. Kevin, are you with us tonight? I saw something on Facebook. You might be out of power again up there. Yeah, that's the story. I saw something that he posted a couple hours ago. It looked like he might have a power failure up there again. Well, thanks, everybody. Thank you, Vicky, K8VKY, for logging. I'm going to turn it over to Roger, KO4Q on them. I believe he's going to take 8901 and 2, and then Scott's going to pick up the rest and do the late. And thank you, everybody. This is Dick, WB2JPQ. There we go. Thank you, Dick, and thank you, Vicky, for logging. You're doing a fantastic job tonight, as usual. I don't know how you get some of those call signs out of there. It's neat to watch. This is KO4QMM, Roger, in Central Florida. I'll be your net controller, like Dick said, for call districts 8 through 2. And starting with number 8, if you have an 8 in your call sign, join this evening. And the question is, do you use external speakers on your radios? If you have an 8 in your call sign, come twice and slow.
November 8, Hotel Golf. Whiskey Bravo 8. November 8, Oscar Hotel Delta Foxtrot, W8ODF.
November 8, Quebec, Yankee, Quebec. November 8, Quebec, Yankee, Quebec.
November 8, Delta Hotel Charlie.
Alpha Delta 8, Mike Juliet. Alpha Delta 8, Mike Juliet. Alright, nice little list there. We have AD8MJ, Allen, Warren, Ohio. N8DHC, Jim, Taylor, Michigan. N8QYQJ, Detroit, Michigan. WB8ODF, Dave, Ypsilanti, Michigan. N8HG, Dick, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. And K8BYU, Roy, via text line, Blaisdell, New York. Good evening, Roy. And do you use external speakers on your radios? KA8BYU, you there, Roy? He must have been a hit and run. Alright, we got you down for that. Let's move on to N8HG, Dick, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. Good evening, Dick, and do you use external radios?
The answer is yes. Yes, I do. I have a HF2 with a Yaesu speaker. I also have another dual band Yaesu with a Motorola speaker. And I find I get more clarity with those speakers. So yes, the answer is yes on both of those events. Back to you.
Thank you, Dick, for joining us this evening. And yes, I have an external speaker in my truck for HF, but I wear a headset mostly everything else. And let's move on to WB8ODF. Good evening, Dave from Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Well, good evening, Roger, and Vicky for logging, Dick for the front end of the show, and Scott, you're in the wing, so thank you all for doing the net. Yes, I use external speakers on everything. My radio I'm talking on right now goes to a mixer board, which goes to an equalizer, which goes to a 2,000 watt amplifier, into a couple of PV speakers on tripods with 15-inch woofers and 6-inch horns. So yeah, I can make you guys sound really good. Roger, back to you, and again, thanks for doing the net. And it was great shopping with you in Orlando. This is Dave, WB8ODF, Ypsilanti, about 25 miles due west of Detroit.
Yeah, I gotta agree, man. It was fun hanging out with you and Joe at the place there, and I ended up getting one of those Buddy Hex beams. I'm looking forward to playing with that. Appreciate you being there, Dave. Hope you have a wonderful evening there. Sounds like you got some high-tech stuff. Let's move on to N8QYQ, Jay, Detroit, Michigan. Good evening, Jay.
Well, good evening to you and everybody on the net from downtown Detroit. Answer is no. Here in the car, I've got an FTM 500, which has a really great setup with speakers both on the head and on the body, so that's pretty great. And new enough general ticket with a HF rig in the box at home, so not yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if I had one, but not as of yet, so put me down for a no. N8QYQ, back to that.
QSLJ, thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, I gotta say, I started looking at some of them ICOM speakers that go beside your radio, and ooh, boy, I tell you what, they're proud of them suckers. Let's move on to Jim, Taylor, Michigan. N8DHC. How about it, Jim? Do you use external speakers on your radios?
Thank you, Net Control. This is an 8DHC. Good evening to you. Good evening to the Net. External speakers, yes, I do. I've got a couple of speakers. I've got two speakers, a woofer and a tweeter, crossover. That works all right, I guess. I've got a D9000 VHF that I'm talking on, and I use those speakers. Use this radio as a stereo setup. It actually has a stereo decoder in it. So, yeah, and I also have an 857 that I use on 40 meters. So that's about what I have going on here. So everybody have a good evening. 73 and back to that. This has been ADHD.
Thanks, Jim. Sounds like you can set it up however you like. Yeah, I also have one of those Bluetooth 200 watt boom boxes, and I can plug that into the radio. It's like, geez, oh man, you can really hear that. Let's move on to Alan, Warren, Ohio, AD8K. Good evening, Alan.
Good evening there, Roger. Hello, everyone. I
It's funny you should ask it. I'm staring right now at the mixer I got. I just got this mixer not too long ago. Ready to set the mixer up. I got a 20 band EQ also on the side here, and some fashion Pioneer speakers. I'm really looking forward to putting that all together and seeing what kind of fun I can have with that without disturbing the neighbors too much anyway. So that's what I'm going to put together. So 7-3 everybody. Give it back to you there, Roger. KO4 QMM 88 MJ.
QSL, Alan. I was having flashbacks to some Fleetwood Mac here, old Pioneer. Man, it sounds like a nice setup. Appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to move on to the 9s. This is KO4QMM, Roger in Central Florida, with the East Coast Reflector TechNet night. We're moving on to the 9s. Anybody with a 9 in their call sign, come in and answer the question of the evening.
This is 9 Yankee 4 Delta X-ray. 9Y4DX. Bertram. W9EED. W9EED.
All right, we got somebody else joining Bertrand this week, and it is Don, Ocala, Florida, W9EBB. And we got Bertrand, Trinidad, and Tobago, 9YDX. Good evening, Bertrand. Do you use external speakers on your radios?
Well, a pleasant evening to you, Net Control. This is 9Y4DX, and I'm in Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean. Well, let me extend a pleasant evening as well to all of the stations on the East Coast Reflector TechNet this evening. Hope everyone is doing well and safe. Well, the answer to the question is no. I do not have external speakers on my radio at this time. That's it from me. No further traffic. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9Y4DX.
Thanks, Bertrand. I almost missed your weather report you usually give us. You have a wonderful evening. Good hearing from you. Let's move on to Don, Ocala, Florida, W9EB. Good evening, Don. And do you use external speakers on your radios?
Roger, good evening. Thank you for running that. What a great job you do each time. Hello from Ocala, Florida, everyone. And happy Easter season to all who celebrate. A radio. What is a radio now? In your car you have a radio. Bluetooth on everything, man. Come on, get with the time. No. The answer will be no unless it's the Bluetooth. Have a wonderful Easter, everybody. Bye. 72.
Thanks for joining us, Don. Appreciate it, and have a wonderful evening yourself. Now we're going to move on to the 0s. Have a 0 in your call sign. Come twice and slow. Zero, Sierra, Victor Hotel, W0SBH.
F0 SYV, F0 SYV. November 0 Mike Sierra Sierra. And
right, we got Ross, N0MSS, Wapaton, North Dakota, KF0YV, Galen, Woodbine, Iowa, and WOSVH, Sean, Andrew, Texas. We'll start with you, Sean. Good evening, WOSVH. Do you use external speakers on your radios?
Thank you for holding that. I have one truck that I run an external speaker on, only because it's my hunting truck and I can't hardly hear the radio unless I run an external speaker. And the speaker I run is a Lido from Lido Radio. They make a lot of mountain brackets and things like that, but this one mounts on the bars that mount under the headrest, and it puts that speaker right near my ear where I can hear it really well, and that works really well for me for my external speaker. My HFNs each have their own matching external speakers. It's hit or miss whether I like them better or if I unplug them and listen to the radio itself. One of my mobiles, I definitely have to have one, and like I said, a Lido speaker works really well for me. Back to you, Net Control. W0SVH, Sean in Anderson, Texas.
Thanks for joining us tonight, Sean. And yeah, I got a crew cab truck, and I hooked my speaker right to the handle that people grab in the back seat to get in the back seat, and they got to be zip tied too. They're pretty sharp, but it works out pretty good. Thanks for joining us, Sean. Let's move on to Galen, Woodbine, Iowa, KF0SYV. Good evening, Galen.
Roger and Vicki and Jim there, appreciate you all working in that there. And I presently do not have or use an external speaker. I'm thinking about getting one. The I'm using right now has got a pretty good speaker on it, but a bigger speaker might be a better advantage. So I'm gonna look into it. So thank you very much. This is KF0SYV73, back to the net.
Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it there, Galen. You have a wonderful evening. And let's move on to Ross, Wapaton, North Dakota, N0MSS. Good evening, Ross.
Yeah, good evening, Roger, and everybody on the net. My battery died, so I had to run and grab another radio. Yes, I do use external speakers. In my pickup, I have a visor speaker. It clips onto the visor, and it's got two speakers in it. And it sure makes it a lot easier, and it's right up by you. You can hear it good. And my other vehicle, I have a repurposed business band speaker. And in the house, on my FTDX 3000, I have its matching speaker. We make it sound better, and you can get it as loud as you want, usually, or louder than everybody else around you wants.
Thanks for joining us, Ross. Yeah, I think that's the first time I heard of them on the visor and stereo, two speakers. That made me think, man, wouldn't it be nice to have one in a headrest? Huh. There we go. All right, this is KO4QMM, Central Florida with the East Coast Reflector Tech Night. And our question is, do you use external speakers on your radios? Anybody with a 1 in their call sign, come on and join us.
Yeah, this is Mike, N1NEW. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. They're hooked up, but it just depends on the circumstances as to which sounds better. And I'll turn them on or I'll turn them off so I can hear the conversation the best.
Thank you, Mike, from Pembroke Pines, Florida, N1NEW. Anybody else with a 1 in their call sign like to join us?
1 CBM and 1 CBM.
All right, we got Nautical 1, Charlie Bravo Mike, Carlos from Hollywood, Florida. Good evening, Carlos. How you doing? And do you use external speakers on your radios?
Hello, Roger, Vicky, and the rest of the crew, everybody else present in the Zoom room right there. This is N1 CBM Carlos, Aeronautical Mobile for the ECR. Good news coming soon. If headsets, classify as external speakers, then it's yes. I don't use a speaker per se, but I always use the headsets when I'm doing the HF work. Back to you, Roger. I'll give you the rundown on the later. N1 CBM.
Ooh, that sounds good to hear there. Appreciate you joining us, Carlos, and we'll always be looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks again. W2 RBC, Randy in West Seneca, New York. Good evening, Randy. Oh, I guess we're moving into the 2s. I didn't even see that. I just saw his call sign there and went to it. Let's go ahead and talk to you, Randy. Go ahead.
Good evening to my friend Rod, Vicky, and everyone on the TechNet. Yes, I do use external speakers on all my radios. I either use a radio audio amplifier or a mixer amplifier to drive the speakers. Back to net control, 73 to all, W2, RBC.
QSL, thanks for getting in there, Randy, via text line. And we have a few more via text line. W2AJR, Andy, Cheektowaga, New York. We got KD2JPP, Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee. WA2UUS, Joel, Buffalo, New York. KE2FHJ, Christopher, East Slip, New York. N2CPN, Alan, Kendall, New York. Anybody else? Check in. If you have a 2 in your call sign, come twice and slow.
KD2VNU, KD2VNU. Kilo 2,
W2RF, Whiskey 2, radio frequency.
Victor Kilo 2, Delta Yankee, Victor Kilo 2, Delta Yankee.
2BH, N2BH. Whiskey Alpha 2, Alpha, Alpha, Alpha.
Zulu Sierra 2, Echo Charlie.
All right. From the bottom up, we have WA2AA, Grand Island, New York. N2BH, Bill, Palmyra, New York. VK2DY, Robert, Kellyville Ridge, New South Wales. WW2RF, John, Kucha, something, New York. We'll have to work on that one. KD2, VNU, Derby Dan, New York. And the rest were all via text line. Let's go to the top of the line here. Hold on. Scroll my log. All right, my buddy Chuck, Lancaster, New York, that is down here in Florida right now. He's waiting for all that snow and stuff to go away. W2EM, good evening, Chuck.
Good evening, Roger and Vicky and the rest of the crew. On my main radio at home, my 101, a parametric system, which works really nice, and I really like that. In my truck, I have a radio head up front and a radio mounted in the back, so I don't have any speaker up there. So I have a speaker mounted in the cup holder right by my
right by my back ear, so that works out well. And the radio I'm talking on right now, I don't have a speaker because it has two speakers built in with an audio system. It's that new, the new one, the ADU FTM 500D, and I'm using that, on the desk here, so I don't have the head off or anything. So that works out pretty good. They, the speaker system with the two speakers and the audio controls in it, you get a nice clear sound out of it. So anyway, back to that, W2EM. Everybody have a great night.
You have a great night too, Chuck, and you sound good on this side. I got a dual band Kenwood I'm talking out of right now, and I listen to the speaker out of it pretty much just fine, and nice and quiet in here. Appreciate it, Chuck. Let's move on to Andy, Cheektowaga, New York, W2AJR. How about it, Andy? Do you use external speakers on your radios?
Roger, you've never been in that. Yeah, it seems like the internal speakers on radios are the weak link in the chain, so I definitely use external speakers whenever I can. Thank you. 7-3, I'll have a great week.
You have a great evening too there, Andy, and thanks for joining us. Let's move on to Bob, Gallatin, Tennessee, 2JPP. Good evening, Bob.
Hey, good evening, Roger, and everybody else on tonight's net. As far as the question, yes, I do use external speakers on all the radios. It sounds much better than the stock speakers. Everybody stay safe. Have a great week. Back to net control.
You know, with these questions, it's pretty cool. Getting a lot of yeses. Appreciate you being with us. Let's move on to Joel, see what his answer is. Buffalo, New York, WA2UUS. Good evening, Joel.
Good evening, Roger, and everyone else on the net. As to the question tonight, I do have an external speaker in my car for my mobile unit, but otherwise I get by with the internal ones. I wish everyone be well and be safe. Thank you, Roger.
Thank you, Joel. You be well and have a great evening yourself. Let's move on to Christopher. He slipped KE2F8A. This is KO4QMM. Good evening, Christopher. KE2FHJ, you there, Christopher? Just getting a few beeps here and there. Battery might have died. Hit and run. Have a great evening, Christopher, either way. Appreciate you chiming in there. Let's move on to Alan, Kendall, New York, N2ZBN. Good evening, Alan. And do you use external speakers on your radios?
Oh, good evening. And all on the net tonight. I do not. I'll use a headset working HF or weak signal HF, but no external speakers. Everyone have a good night, and 2ZVN.
You have a great evening too, Alan. We got you down for no. Let's move on to Derby Dan, KD2VNU. Good evening, Derby Dan.
Good evening, Roger. Good evening to the rest of the net. Yes, I use external speakers on all my radios, including my scanners. Returning back to net. Everybody have a great evening, KD2VNU.
Thank you, Dan, and I imagine knowing you, there are probably a lot of Motorola's there. I think you like those brands, and have been around a month. So thanks again. Let's move on to WW2RF, John, in Cuchagoo, New York. How close am I?
Hello, good evening to you, Roger, and everybody else on the net. You're pretty far off. It's cut chalk. So, in any case, good evening to you and everybody else on the net. I use the external speaker on all my radios, and on some of my radios, I actually use the external speaker in conjunction with the built-in speaker. So, yeah, that has some very nice results. All right, I'll turn it back to you, and everybody have a great evening from Whiskey 2 Radio Frequency.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you being there, and I'll just leave that one alone. That's a tough one for me. And let's move on to KE2CCK via text line. Matthew, Frankfurt, New York. Do you have an external speaker on your radios? Wow, you get the record for the lowest audio of the night. If you want to try that again, you might have had a dead battery or something. Come on back, Matthew.
Port 2,
Then I might is something else up. I think Matthew was a hit. Move on to Robert, Kellyville Ridge, New South Wales, VK2DY. Good evening, Robert.
Good evening to you. Good morning from here. This is Robert, VK2DY, where it is currently 21 degrees Celsius and overcast. Definitely feeling like autumn out there. Unfortunately, without deciduous, it's hard to tell what time of year it is, but it's feeling like autumn in the weather anyway. To answer the question, it is, yes, definitely. I have to use a speaker or a headset. It's really difficult to hear the built-in speakers in most radios. So yes, definitely use one or the other. VK2DY. Back to.
Thank you, Robert, for joining us this evening. VK2DY. Have a wonderful day. And let's move on to one of our facilitators, Bill, Palmyra, New York, N2BH. Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Roger, Vicky, everybody else. Yes, I do use external speakers. For some reason, I sit in front of the radio, and the speaker blaring up towards the ceiling doesn't always sound the best. N2BH.
Yeah, mine's blaring straight up to the ceiling, but I do have carpet and a bunch of stuff in here to quiet it all down. Thanks for joining us, Bill. And that guy Matthew, KE2CC, wait till the end and you can try to get in when Scott finishes tonight. Let's move on to Jay, Grand Island, New York, WA2AAA. Good evening, Jay. Marty. How you doing tonight? Yeah, Roger. I use an external speaker on my TM281. I managed to repurpose an old Bose sound dock, which sounds better than the stock speaker, so that's what I'm going with, and I like it. Thank you. WA2AAA. Oh, you can't go wrong with Bose, Jay, that's for sure. Thanks for joining us this evening. And let's move on to Tom, Port Elizabeth, ZS2E. Evening, Tom, and do you use external speakers on your radios?
Good evening, Roger, and good morning from Port Elizabeth, local time here 0401 and 16 degrees Celsius. Yes, I use external speakers on my VHF radio and also on my two HF radios, so yeah, I do use external speakers. Roger.
Well, thank you, Tom. I enjoyed this evening. I hope everybody else did. I want to thank Dick for letting me in here, W2JPQ. And thank you, Vicky, for doing wonderful logging this evening. This is KO4QMM, and I'm going to hand it over to my buddy Scott, W2BLT. Take it over, Scott.
Alrighty, thank you, Roger. And good luck with those names. I had one this morning from Florida that I couldn't pronounce. This is Scott, W2BLT, and we'll be taking the 3s through the 7s and the late and miss tonight. Question of the evening is, do you use external speakers on your radios? Let's go with the 3s. We don't have any by sign. Who do we have with a 3 in your call sign? Please come now.
KB3, BPK.
Baker 3, Golf, Tango, Mike.
Victor Alpha 3, Tango, Yankee, Tango. To Echo 3, India, Quebec uniform with a recheck.
Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta. Kilo Charlie 3, Foxtrot Golf Delta.
Alrighty, recognizing KC3SG. We had VA3TYT, Adam, B3, WB3 GTM, Mike, KB3 PPK, Mary, and we had a VE3 station looking for the recheck. Could you come back with your call sign, please? Have a good evening, Scott. B3IQU, India, Quebec uniform, Reg in Brampton, and I checked in the question section of the net, but not realizing that I was too early. And but in answer to the question of the night, just to fill it all in one shot, yes, I do use external speakers. I always have, both HF and VHF, UHF, and I just find it that much easier to hear with a nice speaker. So back to you, and hope everybody has a great week out there. V3IQU. Alrighty, thank you, Reg. Appreciate you joining us. And I want to go back to a fellow that got walked on a few times there, coming in out. Kilo Echo 2, CCK. If you're in there and want to try again, come now.
This is Kilo Echo 2, Charlie Kilo. I do use an external speaker when I am mobile in the vehicle. I do not use an external speaker at home. I don't have to because my HF radio has a built-in speaker. It sounds good enough. So this is KE2, CCK, back to net control.
Alrighty, thank you, Matthew. And sorry about that. You got walked on a couple times before. We got you this time. Have a good evening, and thanks for coming back around. KB3 VPK, Mary in Easton, Pennsylvania. Good evening, Mary.
Good evening, everybody. I do have an external speaker on this HT because I have the official Yaesu external microphone, and it has a little for an external speaker on the microphone, so I always listen to this external speaker. And I have an external speaker on my Kenwood HF gear, so yes is the answer. Back to you.
Thank you. It sounds like that speaker picks up the other radio that you're listening on very well. Have a good evening, and thanks for joining us. 3 GTM, Mike, up in Westford, Vermont. Good evening, Mike.
Two external speakers. And not all the radios have speakers. A lot of the radios have pretty good speakers in mine, but the external speakers sound better. Hey, thanks for running the net. Thanks for checking me in. 7-3, I'm back to net control. This is WB3GTM.
All right, thanks for joining us, Mike, and have a great evening. VA3 TYT, Adam. Looks like you're new to the system up in Ajax, Ontario, Canada. Good evening.
Hey, Scott and everybody on that. Just going through some frequencies, came across the net there, thought I'd say hello and answer your question there. I do use the external speaker, even though my radio is got an advanced audio processor. I just use it for the extra kick. Back to you.
Alrighty, Adam, thanks for joining us. If you make your email public on QRZ, we'll get you a welcome letter out, and you can learn about what the system's all about. And visit EastCoastReflector.com. I give you a lot of information about all the nets and all the connection information, and hopefully we'll hear from you again. Let's get on to Ray down in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, KC3FGD. Good evening for a change, Ray.
Yes, good evening, Scott, Vicki, and everyone on the net. Yeah, we're usually talking in the morning. I have a combination. I have some with and some without. The 2-meter rig here in the cottage, I do not. But the Masonic Village Radio Club, I have several external speakers. Hey, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Talk to you in the morning. KC3FGD, back to net.
All right, Ray, you folks have a great evening down there, and maybe we'll talk to you in the morning there. Alrighty, it's time for the fours. This is W2BLT. Via the text line, we have KK4 SAD Les, KK4 JPW Brian, and KQ4 GLY Chris. Who else do we have with a 4 in your call sign? Come now with your call signs twice.
Charlie Romeo Foxtrot. Whiskey 4, Foxtrot, Whiskey November. Whiskey 4, Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo.
KQ4, VGF, Kilo Quebec 4, Zulu Golf Foxtrot.
Alright, let me pick it up there and recognize from the bottom up. We had Bryn, KQ4ZGF, Cadet 4, RHE, Roger, W4, FWN, Dan, KR4, CRF, Anthony. Anyone else with a 4 before I run this list? If you have a 4 in your call sign, last chance, please come now. Well, with nothing heard, let's go to the top of this list. The question of the evening is, do you use external speakers on your radios? Let's go to Les, KK4 SCD in Claremont, Florida. Good evening.
Florida. 68 degrees. Yes, I use external speakers on all my radios. KK4 SAD, back to net.
Well, thank you, Les, and you have yourself a great evening. Let's go to KK4 JPW, Brian in Monticello, Kentucky. Good evening, Brian. Good evening, Scott, and the rest of the net. Hope everybody's doing well. As to the question of the night, I do not, but I'm kind of just getting some stuff going, so planning on adding it, but right now my answer is no. Anyway, turn it back to you, Scott, KK4 JPW. Alright, thank you, Brian. Have yourself a great evening. Thanks for joining us. K4 GLY, Chris in Parrish, Florida. Good evening.
Good evening, Scott, and everyone on the net. Currently, no, I am not using an external speaker. Back to you.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us this evening, Chris, and have yourself a great evening. KR4 CRF, Anthony in Hopkinsville, New York. Good evening. Alrighty, thank you, Anthony. And I apologize, Hopkinsville, Kentucky. I should know better. I screwed it up before. Thanks for joining us. W4FWN, Dan in Sanford, Florida. Good evening.
Well, good evening, Scott, and everyone else on the net. It's W4FWN. No, I don't use any external speakers. If I'm having difficulty on HF, I use a set of headphones, but only on occasion. So the answer is no. Back to net control. Whiskey 4, Foxtrot, Whiskey November.
Alrighty, Dan, thanks for joining us this evening. Let's go to Roger, Fort Lauderdale, N4, RHE. And a great evening to you, Roger. W2BLT, good evening, Scott. November 4, Romeo Hotel Echo. No, I have headphones, but my front-facing speakers are loud enough. And for my top-mounted speakers, I have a 4-inch PVC sweep elbow that I place over the speaker and can direct the sound. November 4, Roger, I'm enthusiast. Return to net. Gotta love BBC, Roger. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you in the morning. And last on this list, KQ4 ZGF, Bryn in Rockholds, Kentucky. Good evening.
Good evening, Scott. Thanks for doing the net. No, I do not use any speakers. That's it for me, KQ4 ZGF.
All right, thanks, Bryn. Have yourself a good evening, and thanks for joining us. Alrighty, this is W2BLT. It's time to move on to the fives. Via the text line, we have Bill, KI5PMI. What else do we have with a 5 in your sign? Please come now.
Kilo Lima 5, Victor India. Hope my internet's giving me fit.
Kilo Charlie 5, Alpha Lima Hotel, KC5 ALH Paul Big Spring. Kilo 5 Yankee November Uniform, K5 YNU.
Alrighty, let's recognize K5YNU, Florin, KC5LH, Paul, KL5VI, David. Is there anyone else with a 5? Last call for the 5s. Please come now. Oh, nothing heard. Let's go out to Bill in Hobbs, New Mexico, KI5PMI. Question of the evening. Do you use external speakers on your radios? Good evening, Bill.
Good evening, Scott, everybody on the net. No, I do not, sir. Hope everybody has a good night. KI5PMI. Back to net.
All right, Bill, thanks for joining us and have a great evening. Let's go to KL5VI, David, up in Soldotna, Alaska. Good evening.
Hope everybody's doing good there. It's windy here, but no, I don't use one, and I don't have one, so that's the reason. I probably would if I had a decent quality. Maybe I'll put it on my list. But, anyway, back to you. Thanks for the internet. KL5VI.
Alrighty, thanks for joining us, David, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Let's go to KC5 ALH, Paul in Big Spring, Texas. Good evening.
Good evening there, Scott, and hello to everyone on this net. KC5 ALH, Paul Big Spring. No, I do not, but it is certainly not because I don't appreciate their value. It's mostly because I'm always portable. These days, I'm on the either the all-star connections or the digital modes or whatever, where you can just use handheld transceivers, as I'm doing other things, including work and outside in the yard and all kinds of other things. So I'm portable most of all of my ham radio activity, and so I'll just use the handheld transceiver. Back over to you, Scott. Tuesday night. Thanks. KC5 ALH.
Alrighty, Paul, thanks for joining us. And last on this list, K5YNU, Florin out in Conroe, Texas. Good evening.
Good evening, Scott, Vicky, and everyone else on the net. I do have one I just purchased, an ICOM. It's pretty small, most likely for the mobile, but I use it as a base station for now, along with my FTM 500. as the base station. Back to the night control. Thank you for doing the 73 escape IYN.
All right, thanks, Florida. Appreciate you joining us, and have a great evening. This is W2BLT. Let's go to the sixes. Via the text line, we have KC6 Charles and K6AN Mike. Who else do we have with a 6 in your call sign? Please come now.
Kilo, November 6 Golf, Sierra Golf. Kilo, November 6 Golf, Sierra Golf.
Already, we had KN6 GSG as well. Let's go up to the top. KC6 UFM, Charles in Guatai, California. Good evening, Charles.
Good evening, Scott. Many thanks to Vicki for running the log. I have no idea how she digs some of those call signs out, but she does. And many thanks to you and Roger and Dick for herding the cats tonight, Mr. Scott. And I hate to disappoint you, but instead of BLTs tonight, we decided to go with club sandwiches. So can't come up with any phonetics for that. But as far as the speakers are concerned, absolutely I do. In my mobile, I have speakers that I use all the time in there. And then here at the house, I have a homebrew equalizer, mixer. I don't know what all is actually in there, but every single radio, including the 2 HTs that I keep on the desk, plug into that thing, and I can patch them to 3 different sets of speakers and so forth. But with that all said, as soon as I make a contact, especially on HF, I hit the mute button on the thing and pick up the headphones, because frankly, Scott, my ears are not what they used to be a number of years ago, and I blame the U.S. Navy for making me too close to too many big explosions. But anyway, little adventure here in Southern California that most people have probably heard about. In San Diego County, about 16, 17 miles from my house, we had a 5.2 earthquake yesterday morning, and pretty good here at the house, even that far away. And I was outside with the dog, heard a rumbling noise, and I thought, that sounds like an earthquake. And then the ground started moving, and I looked up at the tower, and the antennas are all swinging back and forth, and the trees are swinging back and forth, and all of that. But thankfully, there was no injuries or anything of that nature, and only very minor damage. A few broken windows. A few stores had near the epicenter had product fall off the shelves. Thankfully there was nothing worse than any of that. So back over to you, Scott 7-3, everyone. Have a great evening and a great week. This is KC6 UFM. Back to net control.
Alrighty, thank you, Charles. And that was going to be my next question. I was looking at the map yesterday and watching the aftershocks and stuff. Charles was close enough. He had to feel a little rattled, but I'm glad everything was okay and you didn't get it too bad. Thanks for joining us and all you do for the system here. Let's go to K6AAN, Mike in Valley Springs, California. Good evening, Mike. K6AAN, Mike, are you still with me? Well, moving right along, let's go to KN6 GSG, Barry in Moss Beach, California. Good evening.
Well,
Well, good evening, Scott, and the rest of the net. Yes, I use, let's see, I have 8 radios. 5 of them use external speakers. 2 use homemade reflector direction devices, and 1 is just the speaker by itself. And that's about it. So thank you, Scott, for being here. Thank you. Can 6 GST, back to net.
Alrighty, thank you, Barry. You have yourself a fine evening. Appreciate you joining us. Alright, now it's on to the 7s. Via the text line, we have N7WZI, Alan, up near Portland, Oregon. Who else do we have with a 7 in your call sign? Please come now.
Kilo 7 Zulu Sierra Hotel. Kilo 7 Zulu Sierra Hotel.
Alrighty, recognizing KK7 as ZS8 as well. Let's go to the top and go to Alan, N7WZI. Good evening, Alan. And do you use external speakers on your radios?
Depends on the situation. On mobile, possibly external speaker, like on 10 meters or so. But yeah, as far as just do it. I don't do it. If you know what I mean.
Alrighty, Alan. Good to talk to you, and enjoy the rest of your evening. KK7ZSH, Jason in Milwaukee, Oregon. Good evening.
And everybody, Scott, thanks for doing that. Vicky, of course, thank you for doing the logging. I'm sure it's a difficult job. For me, I am pretty brand new in this hobby, so I'm honestly talking about HP, so no. I do have one that I'm going to set up.
Alrighty, thank you, Jason. Know it is, and have yourself a great evening. Alrighty, folks, that's time of the night for the late and missed. If you were late to the party or missed your call district, now is your opportunity. Via the text line, we have KF8DIP. Who else do we have out there that'd like to get on the log before we end the net here? Please come with your call sign twice.
K8BYU. K8BYU.
Whiskey Delta 8, Papa India Charlie. Whiskey Delta 8, India Charlie.
VE3BZ. VE3BZ. Go for the numbers.
Alrighty, we'll hold it up there. I see we had KA8BYU came back to this. We had WD8PIC, Bob in Sylvania. And Kevin looks like he got his power back, VE3BZ. Then I had a station in there from the Oz Hub there in Australia that said something about for the numbers is all I heard.
Oh, we'll try talking for a bit longer. You've got Victor Kilo 7 Hotel Sierra Echo, the HSE, over.
we got you, Scott. Is there anyone else? Last call for the late and missed. Please come now.
November 8 Delta Hotel Charlie. November 8 Delta Hotel Charlie.
Alrighty, Rick. N8 DHC, Jim in Taylor, Michigan. Let's go to the top of this list. KF8 DIP, James in Ottawa Lake, Michigan. Good evening. KF8 DIP, James. Are you in there?
Copy NJ1S.
This was via the text line. It was KF8 DIP, James, and we'll just mark him as in and out. Let's go to KA8 BYU, Roy in Blaisdell, New York. And Roy.
Good evening, everybody. Yeah, I was on the phone before, unfortunately. Yes, I do use external speakers, especially on the VHF and UHF rig, because the speaker's on the bottom, and that's not great. So yeah, pretty much always use the external speaker.
Alrighty, thank you, Roy. You and the kids have a great evening. Thanks for joining us. Next up, WD8 PIC, Bob in Sylvania, Ohio. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, and yes, I do. I do use external speakers on all my equipment. I've got multiple speakers for different radios, and I love it. I started out with handhelds, you know, with a bass for the handheld and an amp and an external speaker, and I just went on from there back in the late 70s, early 80s, and it just went on from there. So everyone have a great rest of the evening. Thank you, Vicki, and everybody else that keeps the system great. Back to net control, WD8PSA.
All right, thanks, Bob. Have a great evening, and thanks for joining us. Let's go north of the border to VE3, BZ, Kevin, up in Victoria Harbour, Ontario, Canada. I don't know if there was anything for the swap and shop, but good evening, Kevin.
Yeah, good evening, Scott. And yeah, I had stuff, but we'll just skip it this week. It's been kind of a disaster up here tonight. I lost power, then the power came back on, and then I lost internet. So we'll just skip it and wait till next week. Anyhow, I wanted to check in anyway and answer the question. And yes, I do use external speakers, especially in the mobile and on my HF rig. Anyway, thanks for being there, Scott. Back to you. 3BZ.
Alrighty, Kevin. Thanks for joining us, and I'm glad everything got back together and working for you. And we'll talk to you again soon. Let's go to VK7 HSE Scott in Kingston, Australia. Good evening.
G'day, I think I've set up the wrong timer. I was trying to mitigate a repeater tail, and I think I've added like a 2-second delay cut-off, you know, when it first received, so I probably cut myself off before. Good evening to all. I've only just tuned in and caught the last 5 minutes, so I just thought I'd just pop in just for the numbers. Over.
Well, while you're here, you might as well let us know. Do you use an external speaker on your radios?
right, answer to that question is absolutely. As I count here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got 6 of them sitting in numerous spots around the radio room, over.
Alrighty. Sounds like you're well prepared there with your radios. You have yourself a great day, and thanks for stopping in. And last one for tonight, N8DHC, Jim in Taylor, Michigan. Good evening, Jim.
Good evening, Net Control. Good evening to you. Good evening to the Met. Just to answer the question, yes, I do use speakers on just about every rig I've got except for the handhelds. And if I had handhelds that would handle Bluetooth, I'd use a Bluetooth speaker on that too. Anyway, have a great evening, 73. Back to Nut, this is an ADHD clear.
Well, alrighty. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you joining us. And that's going to do it for us, folks. Just a couple announcements. Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m.
On for tonight, I've enjoyed listening.
And it's Thursday.
Sort of half waiting for a little warmer weather. Maybe a few more weeks it'll be warming up a little better than nice. We'll have a nice clear night.
10 a.m. on 14.317. And let me reset.
Net Control, I tried to check in twice. I'm not sure if it picked me up or not. NJ1S, Mobile, Eric in Vermont, in and out only.
There we go. We got you. You have yourself a great evening, and thanks for joining us. And on behalf of Dick, WB2JPQ, Roger, KO4, QMM, and Vicky, keeping everything straight here on the log, this is Scott, 2BLT, wishing everybody a great evening, and we'll talk to you in the morning. Returning Reflector now to normal amateur use.
This is Kilo Charlie Zero Bravo Bravo Foxtrot. I've been trying to check in. Kilo Charlie Zero Bravo Bravo Foxtrot via Echolink.
Looks like there's more out there.
Alrighty, we got you, Steve. Have a great evening.
Answer to your question, I also use external speakers to make voices a lot better via the you guys out there Zoom Room 2, K0BBF.
J1S Mobile for a radio check. Anybody copy?
Kilo 2 Lima Golf Mike, I copy.
Did someone come back and say they did copy? Is that correct, QSL? Is my audio acceptable?
Your audio is 5.9.
I was just wondering how the net missed me, that's all. Alright, 7-3, NJ1S clear.
Tom, Texas.